to join their space team. Its mission: send America's first astronauts into space. Catherine said yes. Then she discovered that woman wasn't allowed to attend the group's meetings. She knew this was wrong as 5 times 5 equals 20. So she asked if she would go. Women don't ever go to those. The engineers replied, "Is there a law against it?" Catherine said, "No." So Catherine showed up at the next meeting ready to work. Drawn by her geometry skills, the team asked her to calculate when America's first space flight she should blast off. Catherine agreed, but first she asked questions like, where should the rocket splash down? With that information, Catherine carefully computed the rocket's flight path, a beautiful U-shaped curve. Next, she worked backward to figure out the time it should blast off. Then she began counting the days until lunch. On May 5, 1961, Anla Sharp blasted off, following Catherine's flight path. He scored into the silvery sky. 15 minutes later, he splashed down in the Atlantic Ocean right on schedule. Soon, Americans began dreaming of a longer flight around the entire Earth. To figure out the math for this long, complicated trip, engineers decided to use their new room-sized computer that worked much faster than people. But astronaut John Glenn trusted Catherine more than a machine. He wouldn't step 1 foot onto the rocket until she said the computer's calculations were correct. Happy to help, Catherine checked every number. On February 20, 1962, John Glenn became the first America to orbit Earth. Then people began wondering if an astronaut could travel all the way to the moon. Both the Soviet and the United States wanted to be the first to land there and win the space race. Catherine knew this flight was incredibly long and dangerous. Every calculation would have to be perfect. One math mistake and the rocket would zoom right past the moon. As NASA's computer cubed and computed a flight path to the moon and back, Catherine went to work to double checking the machine's calculations. But this was the most complicated geometry problem she'd ever seen. One of the points the spacecraft was flying incredibly first, her target, the moon, was consistently circling Earth while spinning. Some people thought the problem was too difficult to solve, but Catherine knew that was wrong. As wrong as 5 plus 4 equals 4. She calculated and computed. She plotted and planned. She created a brave path all the way to the moon and back. 10-9 ignition sequence starts. Heart racing. Catherine leaned close to the small television screen. 765. She held her breath as powerful flames exploded on the launch pad. 4, 3, 2, 1. The rumbling rocket slowly rose above the ground, above the smoke, above the clouds, and then disappeared into ink black space. 4 days later, as Nelly Armstrong took his first steps on the moon, Catherine smiled and began to count. The end. I recorded myself reading the book.